Hey, hey, hey! Do I get a little closer? Do you see me yet? Is that making you sick like it is me? Hello. Welcome to the first day of what I will guarantee can be incredibly transformational for you and for your business, if you let it. Because we're going to talk a lot about the things that we don't necessarily like to talk about. But we're going to get into that. So welcome. Happy Monday. If you are catching this live, give me a hashtag live. And if you are catching the replay, give me a hashtag replay. I want to see who all is going to be joining us this week, who all is really ready to start using those emotions to your advantage, because we like to run from them. We like to pretend like they're getting in the way, when really they're going to work for you. And that's what I'm going to teach you over this week. So, first of all, thank you for showing up for you. This is work that I won't say no one, but most people don't really like talking about. They don't like doing. They don't like to think that the emotions get to have control. So, a lot of people avoid this conversation, and a lot of people tend to avoid and tend to think that the more we ignore it, the more we don't have to worry about it. Again, I'm going to maybe work against that belief over this next week. But first, I want to talk about why you're here. What made you click in to join in here on live, or click in here to watch the replay? What made you say, how exactly can my emotions work to my advantage? Maybe you just wanted to see if I was crazy. I'm okay with that, because at least you're watching and you're going to learn some information, whether you want to use it or not. But maybe you are finding yourself to be someone who maybe says you're too emotional. Or maybe you cry all the time. Or maybe you take things too seriously. So maybe you're that one like overly emotional person. Or you could be on the opposite end of that spectrum, and you could be someone who says, I don't have time for emotions. I don't need to be emotional to be good in business, or I don't want to be emotional to be good in business. Or maybe you're just super cold and people think, how does she not care about anything? Which one are you falling on? So you tell me, because here's the beauty of it. We're always one end of the spectrum or the other. I find human nature is, it takes a lot of intention and a lot of effort to be like balanced. Work-life balance, crazy. We always find ourselves swinging one way or the other. So I want to know, are you like the super emotional side? Are you the one who's always crying, or always like, whether you're happy, whether you're sad, whether you're angry, whatever it is? Are you overly emotional, or are you super cold and people say you're heartless and that you just don't care? Which one do you fall in? So as you are watching this, let me know which side you fall in, which extreme, one way or the other. So whether you are on one extreme or the other, or maybe you just wanted to say like, I'm curious. Again, maybe you just think I'm crazy, so you wanted to tune in and see what happened. Something brought you here. Something told you like, I'm going to watch this for a minute. And I want you to watch all the way to the end, because this information is important. This information can transform how you're doing life and how you're doing business. And I feel so adamant about that. And I know that because I know that I've done the work. So I know I'm still doing the work, and that's the point. So what am I going to give you while you were here? What are you getting from me when you're hanging out with me for 30, 40 minutes? I try to always keep it at 30 minutes. Sometimes it goes a little longer. So I'm going to give you two different things. First of all, remember, this is 5 days. We're going to be going live Monday through Friday this week, and we're going to be touching on just a little bit of information today. Obviously, you're going to get a little bit longer because you're going to get the whole backstory and really set our intention for the week. So what I am going to give you in these 5 days are really going to be two things. I'm going to give you permission to look at things differently. And hopefully you're thinking like, Lindsay, I don't need you to give me permission for anything. And I applaud you if that is going through your head. And at the same time, even though we are the ones who give ourselves permission to do anything, a lot of times it's that external allowance that really opens us up to take different steps, to take inspired action. So I want to give you that permission this week. And the second thing I'm going to give you is information, because we don't know what we don't know. It's unconscious incompetence, if I ever say that correctly. So we don't know what we don't know. So if you don't know it, you don't know what to change. You don't know how it's impacting you. You don't know what to do differently. So I'm going to give you that information. I'm going to give you that ammunition to really start honing in on how to do things differently so they work for you. That's the point, is that it should be supporting you. So, permission granted. You are allowed to be looking at things differently. You are allowed to be analyzing. You are allowed to be learning. You're allowed to change. All of those things, I am giving you that permission right now. So, check one, done. I gave you permission. I want you to accept that fully and understand that you are here with an open mind to, number two, gather some information and see what you want to do with it. Deal? Fair? Seems pretty easy so far, right? So, again, we're talking about emotions. You are here because you're stressed. You are here because you are overwhelmed. You are here because you're like, I'm pulling my hair out, especially now that we're getting into the holidays. I'm pulling my hair out. I'm driving myself crazy. People are driving me crazy. I don't know what to do. You're here because you're stressed. And you're probably saying, but Lindsay, like, how are you someone that's going to give me any information? How is you rattling off information going to make an impact on my life? So here's my backstory. So if we have not met before, I am Lindsay Dunlap, and I have the joy and the honor of really guiding stressed out women, stressed out, ambitious, overwhelmed, hardworking women like yourself. I guide you through that stress. I guide you on this path of sanity. And a lot of our work is talking about the emotions, talking about the feelings. So I am a core energy coach. I am a mom of two. I am a farm wife. If you have not seen any of my backstory, if we're not connected on our personal pages, a little bit about our story is my husband and I have been married now for 11. Is that 11? Yeah, 11 years. Almost had to call my mom in for some backup on that. I think 11 years. But in December of 2014, my husband was involved in a farm accident and he lost his left leg. So at that time, it was December 1st of 2014. So we just passed the 7-year mark. 7 years ago, I was probably still living in a hospital. So fun memories there. Again, we'll get to know where those come from. But so 7 years he had this accident. And 7 years ago, I had a brand new 3-year-old son. He had just turned 3. Not new to us, but he was freshly minted 3-year-old. And our daughter was 4 months old. So she was born in July of 2014 and Andrew's accident was in December. So, husband laying in the hospital, lost a limb, traumatically. 3-year-old, 4-month-old, working full time. I was stressed AF. And I didn't allow myself to express it. I did not take these steps. I did not do this work before to understand what the hell was happening to me internally. So I was really good at accepting all of the information that was thrown to me and putting up a shield of, okay, well, I have to do this. I don't have a choice. So I guess I'm just gonna do it. And there's a time and a place where that works. Not all the time, but there's a time and a place when that works. And I will tell people, and probably until the day I die, I do not regret a single thing I did to support my family. I do not regret standing there and going through all of the junk that we went through. My husband went through 2 bouts of MRSA. Our son was diagnosed as type 1 diabetic in January of 2018. So just as Andrew was finally kind of turning the corner, we're like, hey, life's good. We're getting our normal. And then we had that diagnosis. So Andrew is type 1 diabetic. Logan is type 1 diabetic. So there is that constant life change. I mean, some people would call it stress. It's just our life. So my husband lives as an amputee, 2 type 1 diabetics, and a 7-year-old going on, 27. Some days I feel like whatever emotion is coming out of her, I don't understand yet. So that's fun too, but our daughter. So we've got a lot of moving parts and pieces. And I am taking those experiences of believing like if I don't talk about it, it just makes it easier. If I ignore it, it's gonna go away. I'm taking all of those experiences and I'm taking this training and certification that I really just kind of decided, divine intervention had said, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be able to get these tools and get these resources to support other women. So between my life experience and the training and certification that I've been through, this is how I get to give you this information. This is how I feel so passionate that this stuff is gonna work for you. That's why I am here, because I don't want you to go through, the term toxic positivity is thrown around a lot these days, I see. And I feel like I'm pretty, I'm a recovering toxic positivity person. I have always just been that person that everyone says, oh, you have a smile on your face. Oh, how do you do this? All of those things. And instead of really being open to say, I'm having a really crappy day and it's not all sunshine and rainbows, or having a moment to cry if I needed to cry, I was not comfortable at one point being able to take those steps. I was not always comfortable, and I'm still learning to be comfortable in those emotions and be comfortable in taking those moments for what they are. And that's what we'll talk about as what they are. But that's why I feel really passionate about really just educating as many women will listen and supporting you as you're starting to tear these pieces apart and you're starting to kind of like peel back these layers. Sometimes it gets surprising. We'll go with that. And so I get to be there to support you through that and understand how to make this make an impact for you in a constructive and positive way, how to use it to your advantage. So that's about me. So hopefully you're still hanging with me. I see a few people still here live, so thank you for hanging out. So let's get to the core of it. So right now, again, you're stressed. You don't know how else to get out of it. And what is it making you do? What does that stress make you do? How do you feel? What's coming up? These are all the things that nobody ever really feels comfortable talking about. And that's what I get to give you a safe space to do, is kind of tear these things apart. But I want to talk about the emotions. I want to talk about the elephant in the room that is always there, and it's always watching us, and it's always lingering behind us. And we like to think that we can put a sheet on it and ignore it. It's still an elephant. Sorry. Hate to break it to you. So, but here's the cool thing. Emotions are basically science. So emotions are a bodily reaction that's activated by neurotransmitters. I am no scientist. I am not a bookworm. Never really liked to study. But that makes sense to me. And it makes sense to me because it releases some of the pressure that I'm not supposed to be emotional. It's science. It is natural. We are all emotional beings. We are emotional creatures. By nature, we have emotions. So I want you to start looking at two things. We have the science of emotions, okay? So emotions, science, if you can see that. I think I remembered to flip the camera, so hopefully you should be able to see it. But emotions are natural. That's what makes us different than other mammals, is that we express those emotions. The feelings is basically the byproduct. It's what our brain assigns to that emotion. Our brain takes its experiences, it takes memories, it takes your outside influence, all of those things, your exterior beliefs, your values, all of those, your brain uses that as a filter to decide and assign a feeling to your emotion. Science. And if you hear anything about brains, you can also reconfigure them. You can retrain your brain. So if the feelings are simply what we are assigning to our brain of an emotion, that means we now get to make a choice. That means now we have the upper hand to be able to say whether or not that feeling really does properly and effectively reflect how we feel about something. How much better does that feel already to say, now I get a say. Now I don't have to be at the mercy of how I feel. I don't know about you, but that made me feel so much better. When I started recognizing, like, I am not getting to be directed by my feelings, I get to understand what they are and then decide what to do with them. So hopefully you're finding some power in that, some ownership in that of, okay, so now I get a say. Okay? So who's ready to take a say and how and what their feelings are and their emotions? So remember, emotions, natural. Emotions make you human. Welcome to being human. That is natural. The feelings that our brain has assigned to those emotions is what we get to change. I used to be a constant crier. So I was either like super positive all the time, Lindsay's happy. I used to have people that I would work with that if I came in a bad day, like in a bad mood, not even necessarily a bad mood, if I wasn't always smiling, they would say, "What's wrong? That's not normal for you. You're always smiling. What's wrong?" Nothing. Now, I love to smile. I'm like Buddy the Elf. Smiling's my favorite. But it doesn't always reflect how I feel. And when I started to grow more comfortable with acknowledging that, I grew more comfortable just kind of owning it and saying, it's not my job to always smile for people just because not smiling makes them uncomfortable. So there are baby steps that will come with this. So why does it matter? Why does it matter how we use our emotions? And so, like I said, I'm either always happy or I would cry. I would want to, I'd let things build up and I would get so mad at my husband and I would want to yell at him and I would just break out in tears. And I'm like, this is stupid. This does not naturally show how I feel about this situation. I really want to yell at him and bite his head off. But instead, I would be in tears. So less effective in my opinion. But that's the point, is that why is it important how we identify and use those emotions is because when we are not acknowledging them, when we are not paying attention to them, our brain assigns these feelings to irrational situations. Like, do you cry at every movie? Do you cry when you see somebody in their car crying? Or do you cry when you are really mad? Or do you cry over spilled milk? Is it worthwhile to express that feeling that way? Or have you closed yourself off for so long from really what it's about that your brain has now assigned an emotion to irrational and inconsequential experiences and events in your life? That's why it's so important to really start navigating these emotions and understanding what those feelings are that come with it. Because you don't want to be crying so you want to be angry. You don't want to be yelling all the time when you really want to be sad. That's the other opposite to everything. There's two sides of the same coin. You could be that cold and distant person where you're like, I'm not emotional about anything, but you recognize that there's something that needs to come out of that, right? So maybe you're always angry and really you express all 5 core emotions in the same way and it's yelling. How am I supposed to know if you're happy if you're yelling all the time? So when we don't understand the emotions, we don't understand the feelings that are generated from them, and we don't understand how to assign them, our brains get to be trained. You do not learn how to walk overnight. Your brain gets that momentum. It gets the practice. You start rewiring your brain to learn more things. So today we get to learn more things, okay? So learning when it makes sense to have emotional attachment to something gives you the ability and the awareness to know what's most important for you. Make sense? Seems pretty logical, right? I'm a very heart-centered person, but logic comes in sometimes. and when you put it like that, it's like, why wouldn't you want to understand this? Why wouldn't you want to know how to impact your life and impact your business by understanding how to put your emotions in it? It makes sense. So here's one takeaway I want to give you. Emotions are not good or bad. They are simply information. So we like to have judgment of, oh, this is good. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling joyful. I'm feeling excited. And we like to say that's a good feeling. And then we like to assign certain feelings as bad. We like to say, again, I would always say that if I was angry, that's bad. I don't want to feel angry. So I would ignore it. I would try to push it down. I didn't want to feel sad. I didn't want to feel grief. I didn't want to feel frustration. All of those things I titled as a bad emotion because I didn't like how it made me feel. And here's your permission again. I give you permission to stop defining them as good or bad and accepting them as information. It's simply telling you something. It's simply giving you a red flag of this supports you, this keeps you moving forward, or if you don't like how it feels, let's pull back. Let's investigate. Let's learn. Why is it making me feel this way? Emotions are neither good nor bad. It is simply information. So that is one takeaway. I want you to walk away from this training tonight. It is not good or bad. It is simply information. Deal? Okay. So again, we may not like how they make us feel. And that's what you get to have a say, and that's what you get to change. So again, releasing that story of whether you're too cold or you're too distant or you're too emotional, I want you to take a deep breath. That is no longer your story. That is no longer attached to you because it's not serving you, it's not supporting you in any way other than putting a judgment on you, putting a label on you that someone was uncomfortable with how you were responding. That's their story, not yours. So I want you to release that expectation or that story that you are too cold, too distant, too emotional. Whatever that story was that brought you here to say, I'm ready to learn this, I'm ready to take back control, that story is no longer yours. So I'm going to go over in these next 10 minutes, because I'm already at like 27 minutes. Time goes so fast on these. So I'm going to talk about 5 core emotions this week. I love, and I feel like this was a beautiful education story. Gotta love Disney, Inside Out. The movie Inside Out, where you get joy and disgust and anger. Those are the 5 we're focusing on this week. And you could do tons of research, and you could look at tons of different ways that people break down emotions. You know, there's 5 core emotions, there's 7 core emotions. Different models look different ways. However, we're going to focus on those 5 core emotions that come from Disney. Thank you, Disney. But we're going to look at anger, fear, disgust, sadness, and joy. We are ending on joy because it is my favorite. But we're going to talk about these 5 core emotions. So today we're focusing on the anger. We're going in hard and fast. So we're going to go into anger. And I want to look a little bit, and then I'm going to give you some homework. I want to look a little bit about where do you feel like anger shows up for you? Where does anger show up? And maybe it's that it shows up a lot, or maybe you're the one who avoids it and you try to bury it and you try to ignore it and it's not there. Here's some of the feelings that you may be expressing. Maybe you're saying, I don't get angry. I don't get, I don't get mad at people. So I don't express anger. But do you express frustration? Are you distant? Are you bitter? Maybe you're overly critical of people, or maybe you are aggressive. Maybe that is where it comes out. All of those feelings are based out of the core emotion of anger. So when you go back to think of anger again, there's a core emotion of anger, and then you're going to experience all these different feelings that come from it. So some of the examples were frustration. You may be distant. You may be bitter. You may be overly critical. And maybe you are aggressive. So here's what I want to give you for homework. I want you to break down. I love using this as a tool with my clients, is the thought, feeling, action model. Is you're going to have a thought. So your thought, if we're talking about anger, your thought, maybe you're overly critical. Maybe that's where it's showing up for you. So maybe you see someone and you're like, oh my gosh, her outfit is hideous. Why would she ever wear that? So I used to be like, oh my gosh, why would she wear something like that? Well, maybe I was overly critical because I was upset that I couldn't wear it. Because sometimes it's about like, dang, I wish I could pull something off like that. But so I have this critical thought. I hate her outfit. That feeling, again, is going to be that critical, or maybe it's a little bit of judgmental. You're going to see judgment in a couple different emotions. So we've got that feeling. And again, different studies are going to tell you different things of which one of those comes first. I probably actually lean more towards the idea that the feeling is going to come before the thought. But either way, they're side by side. They're coming together, a thought and a feeling. And then it's going to cause you to take action or an inaction. So maybe you don't do anything. No action is still an action. It's still a choice, still a decision, but it's going to make you take an action. So maybe you start gossiping about her. Maybe you start talking about her behind her back. Maybe you end up talking to someone who's like her sister, and that person was your best friend. And now because you were talking about her sister, she doesn't want anything to do with you. And there's this snowball effect of a simple thought and feeling caused you to take an action or an inaction. And now it's unfolding in your life or in your business, wherever it may be coming up. But this, I feel like, is it's not overly complicated. Again, it's 3 steps. Don't look, my Color Street people, don't look, I picked up my nails. It's 3 steps: thought, feeling, action. What is the feeling? So again, we're talking specifically about anger. So what I want you to do tonight or tomorrow before I go live again, it will probably be tomorrow evening again. So I want you to send me examples. I want to know, where is anger showing up for you in your life or in your business? So if you are a business owner, maybe you're struggling, maybe you're hitting the same wall, maybe you're spinning the same wheels over and over and over again, and you're like, why am I not getting this? Maybe you're frustrated, so you're angry. That's coming from that anger. So I want to know, I want you to email me, Lindsay@lindsaydunlapcoaching.com, because I'm super original with names. I want to know, give me your examples of your thoughts that generate the feelings, or again, the feeling that generates the thought, that is causing the action or inaction that's based in anger. Where is that coming up for you? So remember, some of the anger ones were frustration, you were distant. I have my notes because I wasn't going to remember them all. You were bitter. You were critical. Or what I think most people probably align with anger the most, or is you're aggressive. So those are the examples. I'm sure if you do a little bit of research, you're probably going to find a few more in there. So let me know, where is anger coming up for you? I want to see an email. You are happy to email me, or if you want to DM me, just direct message me through Facebook. I'm curious to see where this is coming up for you. Where is anger currently impacting your business? And as we kind of dig in a little, like step 201 of this education series on anger is going to be, it may be working for you. It doesn't always have to be something bad. Remember, there's no good or bad emotions. It is all information. So right now, this is just gathering information. This is telling us, where is it showing up and what is it causing me to do? No good or bad, just the information. Okay? So we're not giving ourselves any judgment. We're not saying, oh, it comes up too much. I can't believe I'm so angry all the time. I can't believe I'm letting this, drag me down. None of that. I give you permission to simply do this with an open mind and take the information and then send it to me. We can even schedule a call. If you're like, holy crap, I didn't think I had this much anger in me. I'm always happy. How is that possible? Let me tell you, it's possible. But it's all about just gathering the information right now. So today, we're going to give a quick recap here, and then I am going to let you get back to your evening because I've almost stolen 40 minutes, and I hope this was super, super helpful for you. And hopefully you're going to come back here for the rest of the 5 days where we talk about fear, disgust, sadness, and joy. So, big takeaway from tonight is understanding the emotions are natural. We are emotional creatures put on this earth, put in this universe. For that reason, that's what makes us special, is that we are emotional creatures. So emotions are natural. So we erased the belief that either we are too cold, too distant, too emotional, whatever that is. We released that. And we understand that the feelings are simply a belief, an assigned measurement from our brain of what an emotion is. So the emotions are there. They're not going to change. The feelings, once we understand what our brain assigned that meaning to the emotion, that's what we get to impact. That's what we get to use to our advantage. So first, let's just look at anger. I don't want to overwhelm anybody. I don't want to stress you out even more. That's never my intention. So I just want I invite you to take a few minutes and make some notes. So again, thought, feeling, action. If you can see this far down. Send me your notes so I know how I can support you. Send me your notes so I know how to support you, where it's coming up for you. And then hopefully I see you back here on day 2 where we start talking about fear. And let me know, what's your biggest takeaway? Share this with someone. If you know someone who is, again, just like beating their head against the wall, or maybe you're that like, I've got my head down, I'm not dealing with any of this, I'm just gonna put my head down and I'm gonna work because that's what's gonna make it happen. And yet you're still getting frustrated and you're still getting tired and you're still getting overwhelmed. Something gets to change. So if you have a friend, if you have someone in your circle who says like, I don't know what to do, share this with them. Invite them into this so they can start using these very simple yet super transformational steps that can really start giving them the permission that they need to understand their emotions and understand how it can work to their advantage. So thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. Let me know, drop in the comments what your biggest takeaway is. Send me your homework. So I want to see your feedback and where that's coming up for you. So send me at Lindsay at Lindsay Dunlap Coaching, and we'll see you tomorrow.